Welcome to Hibiscus Sports Complex as the Southwest Metro Pirates host the Toowoomba Mountaineers in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. I'm John Gorner. I'm joined by Dave Derwin and Dan George. Similar to the women's game, guys, Southwest fighting for finals positioning. Toowoomba fighting just because they have a game to play, pretty much. You know that they're going to do their best and come out all guns blazing. What are your expectations for the game this afternoon, Dave?
Well, I think it's, again, it'll be a tough matchup for the Mountaineers. They're doing it tough at the moment, a couple of big losses in a row. They were competitive against Gladstone a few weeks ago, which is a good sign, but they have sort of copped a few 30 to 40-ish pumpings. And so I think, if I'm just being honest, Johnny, I want to see Abdul Bassett go crazy. And I think he can go get 60. I want to see it.
Dan, we saw Jalil Abdul Bassett go crazy actually in that game versus Logan that we had earlier in the season. He was tremendous in that game. What does he have to do to have another game like that today versus Southwest?
He had Jay Washington. Thanks, Regan. He had Jay Washington putting dimes on the platter for him in that game as well. He wasn't creating a lot for himself. He was catch and shooting. Did a great job of it, but he probably does have the ability to go crazy, but it's not for 50 or 60 points, Dave, I don't think. And I think, to be totally blunt, Toowoomba's in for a really long day, and I expect Tanner McGrew to dominate. I expect Kendall to dominate, and I think Southwest is going to win by 30 or 40 points. Yeah,
Southwest, again, also, like the women, they're battling for finals position. Southwest is securely in the 8 at the moment, but they really want to get that home final, Dave. This game, they must win this game to keep on that trajectory. What do they need to do today? They just got to – you'd expect them to have – if they play their game, they're going to get a win today.
Yeah, I think we've had a few Pirate games in the last month. Didn't see them early on when they had a lot of injuries, but we've seen them now. They've had a bit of a better group run. And they've been good. Where they need to improve on is they fell asleep at the wheel a bit in that third quarter and fourth quarter, a couple of games we've called. So they need to work on closing teams out and also building on leads instead of having to fight back again in the fourth quarter. So that's certainly something that I think they're going to work on today. And again, just moving the ball. I still think they've got a bit of work to do around offensive harmony and balancing guys, getting points. So how do you get touches for Bairstow and Vines and V-Dub and Kendall and McGrew, etc. So it's just that getting the balance. So when you're heading into finals, they know that we've got 5 or 6 guys that are really good scoring options, and they're all comfortable in the offense.
Yeah, Southwest is certainly a team. Similarly, I think the women can make some noise, but this group in the men's team can certainly make noise. You have 2 former league MVPs. You'd have to think you'd be in a pretty good position come finals time if you're Southwest.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's taken them a while to gel, obviously, for reasons completely out of their control for the most part. But now that they are together on the floor, the 2 guys you've mentioned, the MVPs of the league, McGrew and Kendall, they do what any import in this league should do, and that is dominate the ball game. But if you add in a Bairstow who's finding his health, you put a Ryan Vines who's certainly capable of having big nights, you put a Mick Downer in charge of it, who's obviously seen it all in terms of an Australian basketball coaching point of view, all those elements make it look like they should be able to compete with anybody. So if I was, I don't know, top of the table looking at a Mackay or a Caps, they don't want to play Southwest early in the playoffs, I wouldn't think, especially if some of these guys get going.
Yeah, Southwest, like we said, though, going to try. They really want, we've been talking to Rob Tankey, the president here at Southwest, for a while now. He really wants that home final. He thinks his team can do some damage if they're able to get that home win. Or excuse me, that home final. Yeah. Let's take a look at the ladder quickly.
And while you're doing that, Johnny, the other thing too with this Toowoomba group is losing, Washington and Paula Lee. I'm not sure where they are, but certainly that they're 2 handy players that have really hurt them. And so, as you said, we've called a game early in the season, and they looked really solid. And that was, again, with I think Abdul Bassett's first or second game of the season.
Well, that possession is exactly what we're going to see all day long, which is not much offense. Bassett just going one out, trying to get shots. I think that's what Toowoomba are going to do a lot of today, which is going to lead to a long day for them.
And Jake Allen hits a 3. First points of the afternoon go to Southwest. And hasn't Jake Allen been great for Southwest these last month or so? And there he is, getting his hands on the ball defensively as well, knocking it out of bounds. He's been a great addition to the Pirate squad, Dave. We talked about it preseason in our podcast. You mentioned Allen as a great addition for Southwest. What does he bring to the table, and how is he so effective in the QBL?
Well, I think he brings a lot of the stuff that they don't have, which is, a kind of a small ball 3-4 man, if you will. I like his physicality, and he certainly competes. And he's got a couple of unique offensive moves, aka the hook shot.
Yes.
When that comes out, but again, just brings a bit of a toughness to the group, and he's a bit different.
Bairstow out to Kendall. There's that famous Jeremy Kendall pump fake. Kendall misses the 3 though. Manelik comes up with it.
I mean, if you're Toowoomba too, you want to compete on the glass today because Southwest isn't one of the bigger groups either. So, especially with the guys, if they can get on the glass.
Malik, tough jumper is off. Allen again with another rebound. Bairstow with really good positioning. Good job by Vines finding him inside. And Malik going to pick up his first personal. That's the first foul in the game so far. Allen from the opposite wing misses that 3. McGrew tips it out. Abdul Bassett comes down with it for Toowoomba. Ebner missed, and here comes Southwest looking to run. Vines on the baseline, picks up his dribble. He turns it over, though.
And that's the sort of possessions to jump in, Johnny, that's going to drive McDowner crazy. On a day like today where you're probably going to get a W. Toowoomba's obviously backing up after a home game against the Coast. That sort of possession, in a winning masks everything, but if they're going to go deep in the playoffs, you can't have that sort of turnover from Ryan Vines. He's experienced enough to be able to do a better job looking after the ball.
Kendall dumps it off for McGrew. Can't handle it. Out of bounds off the beast.
I think McGrew wanted it thrown up just to go get it.
3-2 the lead here for Southwest early. Both teams at the moment struggling offensively. Pass inside, Malik finishes the lane, and Toowoomba has the lead 4-3 now. Kendall's going to fire a long 2. It's an air ball. Allen recovers, finishes, and the foul. Here's Jake Allen doing what he does. You don't really see a lot of that statistically, but just great positioning and just attacks the glass and can finish strong.
Yeah, just those little things. Again, they're intangible. It's difficult to always see. Obviously, that was an offensive rebound, but just good preparation, early work, move Malik around. And again, Malik's got to do a better job of defensively boxing out, get him off the glass. It's great that Malik's an athlete, but technically, you got to fund him. He's got to use his foundations and be strong. Jake Allen shouldn't be getting rebounds on him.
What is that foundation though, Dan? What is the Dave? Excuse me, and Dan. What's the preparation and what is the key to being in strong rebounding position?
Well, it's tough to rebound an air ball, so that's the one thing that you might give him a slight break for. But I mean, I think guarding the post, boxing out, all those things require the same thing, which is doing your work early. And you've got to find the man, make sure you've got front position, and make sure if he's going to go get the board, he's got to jump over you to do it.
Abdul Bassett with a tough lane on the other end, finishing through some contact.
Well, he'll like the softer rims down here at Hibiscus versus the home cooking of Toowoomba, which are possibly the hardest, toughest rims in the league.
Yeah, and Abdul Bassett just picked up his first personal. So Allen going to go to the free throw line again. Tyrell Harrison going to check in for Jared Bairstow. Nearly forgot his warm-up jersey on there, Harrison. Might be a little chilly. It's a little cool in here. It's beautiful outside. A little chilly in Hibiscus this afternoon. We have seen Coach Danner insert Allen into the starting lineup. I know you liked him as an option coming off the bench. What's the difference, though, in preparation for that, Dave? Coming on as a starting 5 member or coming off the bench? Doesn't seem to have really changed his game either way.
No, I don't think. I think some guys, can really struggle with it and really get caught up in it, and others just go whatever and do their work. And I think Jake's one of those kind of guys. Some guys think they come in and that means that I get 6 more shots. which is not necessarily the case. And I think why Jake Allen does a good job is because he doesn't change his attitude. He just might play a bit more.
And Allen sells the foul there, and that's going to be Jalil Abdul-Bassett's second personal. Abdul-Bassett trying to step through, got Allen with the body. I know you like that call, Dan.
My mum's a beautiful lady, and I think she told me if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything. So in light of that, I would say
nothing. Okay.
Nothing.
Tough to now. Abdul-Bassett has two personals. He's still on the floor. Harrison working against Malik. Gets it out to Vines. Wing three-pointer is way off. Kendall hustles for the rebound. Malik comes up with it, but loses it off of his leg, out of bounds. A good hustle there by Jeremy Kendall, getting his hands on the ball. It's a new shot clock. I'm going to say Toowoomba established possession, so 24 to go on the shot clock. Toowoomba hanging around, 9-6 the lead, 5:45 to go in the first. Kendall hits the three. You can't leave it. You got to get a hand up on that. You can't give him that much room.
Yeah, and Malik's got to do a better job of recognition on who he's guarding. I mean, guys like him, you've got to get a hand with a really good hand and a hard closeout. Whereas against a lot of other guys in the league, he can get away with a soft closeout.
Seaby getting his feet in the paint, finishes past Tyrell Harrison. 12-8 the lead. Kendall from the wing this time. That rolls in and out. Ebner comes down with it. Seaby picks up the foul on Tyrell Harrison. See Coach Downer going back to the bench. Verl Williams Jr. going to check back in for the first time this afternoon, and Bairstow going to check in again after a quick breather.
I thought CB just kind of lost his feet there. I didn't think Tyrell did an awful lot wrong. I mean, obviously the young guys are there, and he's going to get picked on because he's a young guy and he's a bit thin. But some of those little things is you only learn with experience and by getting beat up and getting scored on and dunked on and all that sort of stuff. But as long as he competes, that's what you're after as a young fella.
Abdul-Bassett drains the three. That was a tough one, Dan. Going to his left, shooting right-handed.
That's a tough shot, no doubt. And like Dave said in the pregame, we've seen him on our broadcast make that shot, so he's certainly capable. Whether or not he can do that 9 or 10 times today will be the difference between Toowoomba competing or not, I think.
Hebner picks up his dribble. Malik gets in the paint. Shot is up and good. Nice left-handed finish. Toowoomba takes the lead by 1. And Kendall gets called for the offensive foul on the other end. That's a risky play there by Jalil Abdul-Bassett, playing with two personals.
I thought it was actually Malik, which I thought, good job, Malik. And then I saw Abdul-Bassett get off the ground. Gee, that's very dicey, mate.
Weber going to fire a three that's too strong. Verl Williams Jr. throws it away under his own basket, though. Seaby's hook shot is too short. McGrew showing off the three-point stroke. Can't get it to fall this time. And Kendall again from three. That's good for Jeremy Kendall. It's his second one, gives the Pirates the 2-point lead.
Well, I think you got to give Harrison credit for that. I think he's done a good job since coming in. He had a nice catch, nice turn and face up out in the post. He found Bairstow. Bairstow missed. He's probably got 3 or 4 offensive tips, giving him really good minutes early on.
And Terrell's going to get a breather. Gamble's going to check back in. Toowoomba also going to the bench. We've got Davis checking in and Gehrig. Two-three zone here from Toowoomba. Gamble gets it inside. Turnaround jumper is too strong. Davis got it over to Abdul Bassett. Now up ahead to Malik, goes right to the rim and lays it in. Second left-handed finish by Manilock Malik. Kendall's feeling it. Back-to-back threes, and the Pirates up 3. Abdul Bassett, that's a deep two. That's smooth.
Good answer, Johnny. It is smooth.
Kendall travels. Made his move before he put the ball on the floor. I didn't like the call.
Right call. Good call.
You surprised that Kendall hasn't signed yet with an NBL team?
Well, I think the challenge is I guess he's a known quantity, right? Which is they know that. So he could be the insurance policy because, you know, they still want to try and get out and go get a Trice or the like. And then you got all the guys that are in the that have contracts that maybe aren't going to play. So, you know, I was talking to CJ Bruton the other day, and he's talking with a couple of guys, and again, they're in that 16th spot, but they're probably not going to get much burn. So it's interesting for them to go to Australia, go and work on their game for a year. They know the comp's good, and then come back and see what happens. You know, Prather was really good over in the Summer League, and TC obviously got picked up. So I think they're probably after, you know, can I get possibly an upgrade on a Kendall, and he's always going to be around because everyone knows he's still here. But you know, like we've said before, Johnny, you know, he was really good, I thought, for the Bullets in the last month.
He was great for the Bullets. He was great in the NBL All-Stars team as well. Yeah. That went over to China and had a successful trip over there, playing for Coach Downer. I mean, you look at the Bullets, though, the two imports that they announced that they have signed are both guards, so you have to think that counts them out in the Kendall standings.
You'd probably think, yeah.
But he's an NBL quality guy, playing in the QBL, doing a great job here for Southwest. They have the 3-point lead. About 1:30 to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, just another thing, too, you know, you got young Verl Williams, who's obviously looking to maybe get a spot. And
Kendall gets up and puts it down with two hands. Shows off his hops.
You know, just sorry, we were talking about with Verl then, you know, he's come in, he's had a couple of turnovers just on careless stuff. And again, for a guy who wants to get to the next level, you know, we talked about it last week with, I think Salic just getting hooked on making a couple of quick turnovers. If you're the backup point guard, if that's the role he's in at the moment now, you know, he's got to look after the pill.
Jared Gamble, the big man off the bench, hits the three. And Coach Corcoran for Toowoomba is going to take a timeout as his team goes down 8. Let's keep it here, though, guys. Southwest, pretty rough start, but they've got themselves together. They're now up by 8. Pretty good job by Southwest resetting the ship and getting themselves in this lead.
Yeah, I think the key message for Coach Downer is they didn't have a great start energy-wise and intensity, but they've turned it up in the last couple of minutes. You don't win games in the first quarter either, so I think it's getting guys in, trying to get the right things. But their zones looked a little shaky, I'll be honest, the first 9 minutes. So hopefully they can clean that up, and it looks like the last couple of minutes they've certainly scored the last few possessions.
And Toowoomba has had some success in the in that transition. What do they need to do to kind of pick up some more easy transition buckets, because they are struggling a bit in the half court?
Well, the transition's an obvious one. It's pretty hard to get those buckets when you're taking the ball out of the net or they're shooting foul shots. They've got to play much better defense in order to get those transition hoops. But I just think that where Toowoomba has to find a way, and Southwest as well, is that other than Abdul Bassett going one-on-one and hitting tough shots, how else are they going to generate opportunities to score? And so if they can't figure out some better structures and what they're going to run, I think they'll find that they can hang with Southwest for a quarter or two, but after that they'll fall away. So hopefully for their sake, in response to your question, they've got to, in the half court as well, say, great, we don't have transition hoops, or Abdul Bassett doesn't have an ISO. What are we then going to run to try and get him a look? Because he needs to be the guy getting shots, but he has to have confidence he can get it out of offense, not just going one-on-one, shooting fadeaways.
And someone outside of Abdul Bassett does need to step up for Toowoomba. Manilock Malik has had a pretty good start to the first quarter here. And Abdul Bassett creates the contact, finishes, plus the foul. I'm going to give that one to Verl Williams Jr. He didn't like the call. I don't think Coach Downer liked it either.
Well,
it's an interesting possession. Sorry, Dave, to jump in. So Abdul Bassett, hopefully his how do you word it? He pushed Verl Williams right on the chest, and I think he was fouled right before that. But that could easily be an offensive foul. He's got 3 fouls in the first quarters. He's got to be aware as well that he needs to stay on the floor and just to keep things under control. So he gets the call on that opportunity just there, but that easily could have been going the other way, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more. I was surprised they called it. I thought it was going to be an offensive foul.
And
he jump stopped into Verl Williams Jr.
And hopefully they've got the confidence as a team that he knows he doesn't need to go 1-on-3 like that and generate buckets. He can kick it ahead and they'll get it back to him in the right spot.
And here comes Toowoomba in transition. 3-point attempt is up and short by Nolan. Kendall has it. Over ahead to McGrew, who finishes with the right-hand hammer. Might have to call him Thor, not the Beast, when he drops hammers like that.
Love a good nickname, don't you, Johnny?
Didn't like that one, Thunder?
I loved it. I loved it.
It was all right.
Oh, it was actually really good. I love it.
Abdul Bassett jumper is an air ball, and that's the end of the first quarter. So Southwest going to go into the break up 7, guys.
We got
27-20.
We got Beasts and Bear and
yeah, Pirates are full of nicknames.
Thor, dropping hammer. That is awesome, Johnny.
All right, it's the end of the quarter time, guys. 27-20, Southwest up at the break. We'll come back with some statistics and the second quarter of action here on your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. Back with you here at Hibiscus Sports Complex. Southwest Metro Pirates up 27-20 over the Toowoomba Mountaineers at the quarter time break. Dave, pretty good first quarter for Southwest. What are the stats telling you?
Well, before we get to the stats, I'll just have a chat, Johnny. So what do you boys think about the league as far as the import rule? So I was talking to Penny Bairstow just before tip-off, and I propose maybe teams like Toowoomba, who are unique, maybe deserve a third import or some sort of relaxation on the rules, right? They're not Mackay one-horse towns. They're not Cairns. They're not Rocky. They're not Brisbane's. So if we're legitimate about trying to grow the game and make the league as even as we can, I think Toowoomba's in a really difficult position in order to be competitive, in order to acquire guys up the range, 2-hour drive.
That.
I just think they need to look at something in order to try and continue to bring equity to the league.
I think the risk in that is that you'll have Toowoomba bring in 3 imports. They're really good for a year or two, and then they send themselves broken. It's not sustainable.
And that's a challenge. I agree. Yeah.
So I don't like that. I just think they need to be much better at the 2 imports they do get, because this year they bring in Abdul Bassett, who's solid. That's probably, you can't critique that selection at all. Jay Washington was obviously here. They knew him. He probably didn't cost much, but in all fairness, he might not be the caliber of QBL import that you need to take this group to the next level. He would be really good on a Brisbane Capitals maybe, where Anderson's wonderful, but maybe when you're surrounded by good Aussies, he might fill that role. But I think the quality of imports you get is the key, and that's where recruiting becomes so important, as opposed to just adding another one, which becomes financially unsustainable.
Yeah, and I understand it's difficult to balance the budget, but equally, as far as their other 10 to 12 players, it's difficult to then fill those spots, right? With local talent, you could say develop their kids better.
Well, I would turn around and say to the committee, what benefit does it do Toowoomba to be in the QBL then? If you don't have any good locals that you've failed to develop over a number of years, and the Toowoomba-based players aren't up to it, And the other option is to send yourselves into financial hardship by bringing in 3 imports for the men and women while you're in the league.
Well,
what service does it do to the community?
One thing that I always bring up also is a sponsorship and making a financial, not financial contribution, but you give a financial award to the QBL winner. So these teams may have an opportunity to recoup some of the outspend that they have throughout the course of the season. Not saying that it's the end-all be-all, but it would certainly help when you're investing potentially up to 6 figures on a QBL team, where it's going to be a challenge for you to regain any of that spend.
Well, I can't speak for obviously the northern groups, Townsville and Cairns and the like, where Mackay, I've never been up there, but I'll talk to the Geelong Supercats for a second. I'm rocking one of their jerseys today, or one of their jackets today at least. So the Supercats had a program where they would have McDonald's sponsor a schools program. So the 2 Americans every year that come out for the Supercats, they're always very, very good imports at any level, let alone the Seaball level. They're always wonderful, as Malik makes a really nice move.
That was a great move by Manilok Malik.
Earned himself 2 foul shots, but the Supercats would have McDonald's sponsor a schools program, so every day our imports are at schools, morning and afternoon, the only exception being game days. The game on Friday, they're not in a school. Every other day during the week, they're there, and that meant that we had 2,500 people at every stadium, 1,000 of which were kids from the McDonald's program in the last week or 2. So the community knew us and they knew the imports, but it also meant that McDonald's loved it because they got this big brand out there in the schools. It also meant that they paid for most of the imports' wages. So why can't Toowoomba go and get 2 exceptional imports, but work hard behind the scenes to create some type of sponsorship arrangement where it's not the juniors, or I rock up to Auckland on Wednesday and pay $20 to play because I need to help fund, Dusty Reichart to go on a plane to Townsville this weekend. They need to have, which irks me when Geelong's in, like you play Wednesday night comp in Geelong is $8 for an arguably a nicer gym.
Yeah.
And so I just think they need to do the groundwork and say the quality on the floor is the second step. The structures and the foundations of how we run this entire program from a front office management, sponsorship, corporate engagement point of view is the foundation of it. We get that right, on the floor the product will follow secondary to that.
And the question, that was on the tip of my tongue in the sense of, so is the QBL, is it a professional competition? Or is it that development? Is it meant to be that next step for your junior development? Is that what the goal of the QBL is?
Well,
is it to give the locals another or a higher level to play in, or is it meant to be a professional competition? That's the question.
I think it's a combination. I think it depends where you are. So if I'm Southwest, we have the Brisbane Bullets, we have the Capitals, we have the Logan Thunder, we have Northside Wizards, we've got all these other, the Spartans, we've got all these other clubs. So the Pirates are never going to be I wouldn't think, and Dave can speak to this better than I can, but I don't think they would ever see themselves as a fully professional team, just be given the scale. We're in a gym that seats 400 people. So if that's me, this idea of this whole program is to put a really great quality product on the floor that all the Southwest Metro juniors can aspire to be a part of, that can motivate them and that can engage this select group of the community, which is the Pirates family. Whereas if I'm with, I don't know, the Toowoomba Mountaineers, for example, there's not much else in Toowoomba from a professional sporting team point of view. They've got a great gym. They've got all the resources there to be really successful. So they do need to be next level because they are the pride of the town for basketball during winter. So it depends where you are.
Allen comes up with the steal. Euro step, can't get it to fall. I just think I think that that's also where the lines have kind of become blurred over the years in the QBL in the sense of the outcome.
Yeah.
For the organizations, you can spend a lot of money to win and to win a championship, but what is the QBL? Is it meant to be that next stepping stone to help you get into a fully professional career? Is it for you to showcase your junior development, or is it going to be something that's financially beneficial? Does it have to tick all 3 of those boxes? I don't know, and I think that's kind of where that blurred line sits at the moment for the QBL. It is a fantastic competition. But is it meant to be a second level for the NBL? Does it need to go fully professional, or should it maybe peel it back a little bit and come and be a true state competition where you're featuring your junior players? I don't know.
I think that's a club by club discussion again, and as Ryan Vines continues his struggles. But the Geelong Supercats, again, to come back to them. Are we staying here, Johnny?
Yeah, we'll stay here.
To come back to Geelong, which is a club that I know well, is the only reason I keep bringing them up. They had the opportunity while I was there to go back to the NBL, And the conversation was had, and they decided that how do we best serve the Geelong community? And that is to put a great quality SEAWOL program on the floor that the kids love coming to, and they do love coming to it, as opposed to going to the NBL, being stressed financially, maybe going broke and coming back to the SEAWOL 4 or 5 years' time. That was their decision. I look at Hobart now with Anthony Stewart in charge. They are obviously trying to go to the NBL, playing at the Durban Entertainment Centre again, and all the other things that so they've decided to go to the NBL. That seems what they're wanting to do. And so I think in response to what you're saying, it's a club-by-club decision. We spoke about it during the women's game, if anyone was watching. If I'm running the Toowoomba Association, I want to win, but I don't really care if we don't win the QBL in the next 10 years. What I do care about is having a product on the floor that's competitive, which so far this season, neither of their teams are. That I want my kids and all the other kids from around Toowoomba to come and watch to and go, man, I can't believe these guys are playing and they're at my school this week and I love coming and there's 600 people here and it's awesome. That's what they want to be aspiring to, and that will grow the foundation from a community engagement point of view, which then in time leads to better juniors, which then leads to championships and better team goal foundational success. That's how I would try and approach it. But it depends. Club by club will have their own agenda.
But I think, and I agree with you in the sense, but I also think that if you put it in a club by club determination, the clubs that have more money or have more sponsors can then easily outspend, and then I think it waters down the competition, and you start to get those tiered levels of teams that are excellent as opposed to teams that are just okay, and it ruins the competition. So for me personally as a fan, because I have no affiliation to any association, as a fan, I'd like to see that decision made at a QBL level or Basketball Queensland level.
How do you police that? So how do you say to Mackay, you can't spend money on Lucas Walker and Sean Bruce and Cam Trigar, you can't do that. I'm sitting in Mackay going, man, what else am I going to do in Mackay during winter other than go watch the Meteors play? Or if I'm in Auchenflower, how do you say you can't go and get Princeton Onwards, who is a legitimate NBL level player, or an Anderson or these guys? Or if you're in the Spartans, you don't go really get anyone other than who the Bullets give you. How do you police it? I think that the teams that do have the money should inspire the clubs that don't to run their clubs better to get money. I would think. I don't know how you create equality without saying no one has any Americans or NBL players, it's juniors only.
Well, I mean,
other than that, I don't know how to do it.
And I think you look at the shift, even in maybe say the last 10 years, where building a Pirates program on literally zero budget. So we didn't pay players, and so now to flip the script, and it would be rare. It would be rare how many clubs aren't doing that.
Are you suggesting they're still not paying players?
No, I'm saying that. I'm saying it's changed quite a bit, right? And so, again, the emphasis at the time, the strategic idea for us was develop juniors, and so we put in the Brendan Teasers and the Zach Carters and
Brock Monum's in the house, by the way, on the baseline.
And so, that was the decision that we made to build the program through homegrown juniors. And so I think, as Dan said, it's a combination of all the above, depending on what you are and what you're after. But I also agree, my only comment to Dan around the development of Toowoomba is equally resources are also a challenge too. So not everyone, Brisbane guys can jump from Southwest to Brisbane to Ipswich. That's a half an hour drive if I choose to leave and go there, whereas it's a 2-hour drive if I want to try and be recruited to go up and head up the Toowoomba program. So I think resources hurts them as well. And
I agree.
I think I started the conversation just to start the conversation, which is looking at the parity of the league and where we're going as a league. And I think, don't get me wrong, I mean, there's still 8 or 9 or 10 teams that can make the 8, which is still great. But equally, some of the other teams have struggled.
I just think that if you add a third import rule, I think you're spending a lot of money that you'll never see again. I'm looking at it from a financial perspective as well.
It's not sustainable, Johnny.
It's not. That's what I mean. Exactly. You could spend all the money in the world. You're never going to see a dollar off of that. And let's be honest, the money that you spend is money that is coming from junior registrations. I'd rather see teams invest that third import slot back into developing some coaches or putting it into their junior programs that then will bring up those guys and identify some talented kids that will eventually fill in your QBL program. That'll help you bring people in because they are local and they have a lot of friends and family in the area that want to come see them play.
But equally, if I've got a...
Nice spin move by Malik. He's been impressive this afternoon, fellas. It's a 7-point game.
Well,
We probably should get back to the
Dave,
game at some
Dave
point.
asked a question at quarter time. We're still chatting. About Toowoomba have been surprisingly good this quarter.
Well, I started because they were down
That's a good
17.
I like it. Good question.
But they have played well this quarter. And equally, back to that point, Johnny, is again on the and I'm not saying I'm with the 3-point. I'm just throwing it out here. If I go and get 3 good imports, and as Dan said, I go and make them work, and they're inspiring the next generation, right? So that whole the Dave Simmons, Ben Simmons, the Cecil Exum sort of flavour locally is what you could create in Toowoomba, where you go and get good guys, and in 10 to 15 years, you'll go and develop some kids because a commitment of the playing is being a coach and upskilling coaches and so forth.
Well, I would say if you want to get 3 imports, go ahead, but you have to show us the books and show that it's not coming from juniors' fees.
Yeah.
If you can organise sponsors and school programs that are corporately backed, maybe that's viable.
And a community like Toowoomba, I think, Dan, you could do that.
Yeah, but I think you
should be able to do that.
But you'd have to you couldn't make a blanket rule for one association. You'd have to make it available to everybody.
Yeah. Well,
I don't like the 3-import rule in the NBL, let alone the QBL. I don't like it. I mean, the Bullets are going to go get a third American, maybe. I'd love them to go get an Aussie or a Brisbane-based kid at least. Who knows? Anyway, how about those Mountaineer Pirates games, huh?
Well, there's a few Brisbane kids off contract next year too. Thunder, you got Mitch McCarron and Brendan Tees. I think are both off contract. 2 Brisbane kids I think would certainly want to see in Bullets colours.
I want to see a healthy Cam Bairstow again. We haven't seen him around. Haven't had much of an update on where he's at in his recovery. But
I think I saw him the other day. I caught up with CJ out at Carina, and Cam was just getting some work in and rehabbing still. And
because he was never healthy really for the Bullets last year at all.
No, he wasn't.
With the shoulder injury, and then obviously he did the knee injury. But he's a potential difference maker in an NBL program as well. Yeah,
he's lost a lot of. I think he's trimmed down about 10 kilo as part of the rehab. But I don't think he's running yet. But he was sort of getting some shots up and looking good.
Yeah, well, Southwest at the moment looking good. They're up 9, 44-35. Apologies for getting off track there, but Dave, great topic and certainly a point of discussion. Be really interested to see what the QBL fans think about that. Maybe we have to put that one out there and see what everyone else thinks as well.
Yeah, and I just think it's always, and it is challenging to have, as far from a governance point of view, the rule, one rule fits all, but equally, it also is unique as well where their geographic is, and so they're located. So that's a challenge that I think needs to be, considered, and equally I think Ipswich is a little bit that way inclined too.
3-point attempt from Garrett goes in and out. Bairstow comes down with it. Vines gets to the rack, lays it in, but he gets called for the travel. Took that one extra step. He's surprised by the call, but that was a travel for sure. Curl on the court. A little over aggressive defensively there. Abdul Bassett with the wing 3-pointer. It's an air ball. Just didn't look good right from the get-go, did it there, Dan?
No, that was just a bit outside right from the moment it left his hand, unfortunately.
All right, timeout taken on the floor by Toowoomba. We'll take one as well. 2:15 to go in the first half. It's a 9-point lead for Southwest over Toowoomba. 44-35 on your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. Back with you at Hibiscus Sports Complex. 44-35 the lead for Southwest over at Toowoomba. It's been a tight second quarter. There's only 2-point difference between the teams here in the second quarter, Dave. Toowoomba doing a good job kind of hanging around here. Southwest, again, struggling to really put their clamp down. They were up fairly big. They were up double figures at one point. They just can't seem to pull away from Toowoomba so far.
Yeah, just been a little bit sloppy offensively as Kendall shoots a three. And I think that's okay. I mean, I from what I've seen, it looks like Coach Dan is trying to get guys.
Abdul Bassett again finishes through the contact. He's going to go to line for a couple shots. That foul was on Tanner McGrew. And again, Abdul Bassett playing pretty aggressive with 2 personal fouls. Good recognition there. He had McGrew switch that on him, and he attacked the beast.
I know we've only seen him a few times, but he is tough. I'm a big fan. I don't necessarily think he's much of a playmaking, creative one. He's pretty much a straight 2, but yeah, he's a scoring machine.
He's doing a good job. He's had the ball in his hands the whole game.
And I liken it to, sort of the Kevin Love of Minnesota days where it's not like everyone doesn't know he's getting the ball and he's going to have to create and do something, right? Like, so you've got 4 guys in purple watching him and helping D and helping off everyone else in white. So he's getting his buckets when he's absolutely the focus of the offense.
Bairstow misses. McGrew follows, plus the foul. That's just a great job on the weak side there from McGrew on the glass.
Yeah, he just tells CB to get in the gym. I'm doing work right now.
What do you think of McGrew sits on an MVP, Chad? Do you think he's had another MVP caliber season, Dan?
Certainly been incredibly good. And it's hard to say he hasn't had an MVP type season, and he should be right there because he's been fantastic. I just think that it's got to be rewarded by winning partly, and I think Southwest team record might hurt him a little bit. Whereas you look at like a Sean Bruce who has 15 points and 21 assists for Mackay over the weekend, and top of the table or close to it. I think someone like that is deserving. I think individual play, but team success has to be a part of that as well.
Dave, how about yourself? Where do you see your MVP standings at this point of the season?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to go with the Bruce answer, which I think is certainly fair in this particular league. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can get anyone from Brisbane as far as they're really result is by committee with they've got a really good 6 or 7 guys that generally do the most of the work for them. So I think certainly Sean Bruce has been tough.
You don't see an Aaron Anderson up there?
I think he's one of the, I think
MVP?
I think he's one of the best players. I just think that
I think he's top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
And what about the Townsville guys? We always listen, we talk to Vandy and Rod all the time. How about a guy like Josh Wiltshire? I mean, Townsville, people kind of have been really sleeping on Townsville. They've been in the top 4 pretty much all season, and Wiltshire has been a huge part of that. Abdul Bassett,
you don't want to give up a layup, but my man, you got to realize that's your 3rd foul.
That's his 4th foul.
So that's just give up the layup, man. You got to stay on the floor. Crazy.
You mentioned it before, the awareness and recognition. Abdul Bassett picking up his 4th with under a minute to go in the half. I thought that was his 3rd. I must have missed the 3rd somewhere along the lines.
His 3rd. It's probably while we were doing a 15-minute breakdown of the future of the league.
Well, another one I think for consideration is Fowler up in Rockhampton, and I know their results aren't super. I still think they're in the mix for the 8, that's for sure. And I still think if they win a few more games, where are they now, Johnny? They're sitting in 8th. So again, I don't think I want to play them. If I'm 8, if I'm 1, So I think Fowler's been one of the better guys as well.
I'm putting Izzy Twitter in the conversation as well. Everyone laughed when I said Ripper top 4 contenders. Lance Hurdle's been really good, but Izzy Twitter's been really consistent. They're sitting in 4th place at the moment. No one expected him to be up there, so I would put him right there too. But there's so many good players in the league, but I just think it's got to come from one of the top 4 teams, the MVP.
Jackson Pollock got called for the personal foul. It's the 15th foul, putting Southwest in the penalty. And it's going to send Jason Ebneter to the free throw line for a couple shots.
Well, Coach Downer didn't like the call. I thought it looked pretty fair to me.
Yeah, good call.
he was beaten, and then he went and put his arm out again, which was what Mark just explained, and Coach Downer disagrees still, which is, he's right.
Yeah, you mentioned Rockhampton, guys. I want to give credit to the Sunshine Coast Phoenix. We begged them out for having that tough loss last weekend. How they lost, we still don't know, but credit to Sunshine Coast rebounding from that tough loss and going up to Rockhampton, forcing the overtime, and then pulling out the win against Rockhampton on the Friday night. So if we're going to critique them, we got to give them credit where credit's due, and that's a huge win for Sunny Coast because they really didn't have much to play for. Rockhampton's fighting for a final spot. To go on the road and get a win in Rockhampton and forcing overtime and then going on to winning in overtime, well done to them.
And they gave Mackay,
they did. Well too, didn't they?
They gave Mackay a good shake. It was OT, yeah. I think it was 91 all, and then Mackay smoked them in OT.
We spoke about
sorry,
Bruce going for 15 and 21 assists. I think Hogan put 41 on him
yeah.
as well.
Sorry, Thunder too. I think Mackay scored 23 in overtime, something like that. They really dominated him.
Back-to-back games, 2 overtimes in a row. That'll tax you a bit. Kendall gets inside. There's a foul somewhere. They're going to call Kendall with the foul. A lot of contact there with Cameron Weber.
Just trying to find that.
And of course, Jeremy Kendall got his start here in Australia, fellas, with the Toowoomba Mountaineers. That was a great team that Toowoomba had with Jeremy Kendall in the backcourt when he won his MVP. And Aaron Maxey, as Bairstow throws up the three-pointer, couldn't get it to fall to beat the buzzer. But that was a really good Toowoomba team. They made the semifinal. They made it to the semis that year behind the Jeremy Kendall MVP season and Aaron Maxey in the front court.
Yeah, and that's 2 pretty handy imports. I mean, that's a nice 2 imports to build a team around for sure.
Guys, it is the half. It's 52-42. What are your thoughts, guys, in that first half of action? Again, I'm surprised with Toowoomba. I really thought Southwest was going to run away from them in that half. But Toowoomba doing a really good job hanging around. They're down 10 going into the break. However, Jalil Abdul-Bassett playing with 4 personal fouls. Is that going to be the deciding factor here in the second half?
Well, I think Downer might be disappointed that he's let this Toowoomba team put 42 points on him. That's probably too much. 84, 85 for the game, given where they're at. That would be a point of concern for me, coaching Southwest. But 4 fouls for Abdul-Bassett. He's going to have a hard time staying on the floor. And if he is on the floor, he can't guard anybody. So I'm not sure how they're going to pan out.
Yeah.
I still expect a pretty comfortable Southwest win this afternoon.
And I think flowing on from that, I think Coach Downer's up on the referees a little bit, and I actually think it's frustration in some of those things. Offensively, I don't think they've been super sharp.
I agree.
Defensively, I think they've been a bit average as well. I mean, they scored 78 last night and allowed 117, I think. So that would be, if I'm Downer, I'd be looking at that today. Like I want to put 40 on them. If we're legitimate about winning this title, I'd like to say I'm coming in. I'm going to put 40 on them.
All right. Well, we'll see what Coach Downer and the adjustments he makes at the half. We'll see what Coach Corcoran does at the half as well to play without Jalil Abdul-Bassett or him playing with 4 personals. But it is the half. It's a 10-point lead for Southwest over Toowoomba, 52-42 on your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. Back with you here at Hibiscus Sports Complex. We're on camera, fellas, so make sure you show your guns, Thunder. Minute 20 to go just before we get back to the action. It's a 10-point lead for Southwest. We said before the break, Southwest was impressive, but I'm a little more impressed with Toowoomba being able to only down 10 at this point. Dave, I know you looked at some of the statistics. What's jumping out at you at the break?
Well, I haven't looked at them too thoroughly, I think, but the ones that are interesting is 15 turnovers for Southwest against probably, let's be fair, the worst defensive team in the league. So they're not creating pressure with wonderful defense, I don't think. It's just sloppiness, which we talked about just before we ended. And again, you have created 17 turnovers for Toowoomba, and yet you haven't turned that into a smashing on the scoreboard. So I think there'd be some frustration there from Coach Downer, and I think this is where you need to turn it up a little bit and really show the league that you put them to the sword, and we're ready to go in the next month.
Dan, what do you think? What are you thinking at halftime?
I agree with Dave. And I think if I'm Southwest, I want everyone to look at the box score tonight and go, well, look at our broadcast and say, man, they won by 35. They're legit. For me, and Coach Downer's obviously what he does, so he's all over it, and he's getting them to play the way he wants them to, I'm sure. So who am I to sit here and make comment on it? I think, though, just looking at this, I want them to show more discipline and more structure offensively. Let's grind them. If we want to get McGrew going, let's grind Toowoomba into the ground and make them guard this set and just wind it on, grind it on, and make them play a lot of defense. And we're going to dictate how we want to play, get the shots we want to get. That's what I'd like to see from Southwest.
Well, you see Toowoomba come out with Jalil Abdul-Bassett. Don't forget, guys, he's playing with 4. What does he have to do to stay on the floor for the Mountaineers? He's got to finish that, that's for sure.
Well, he does, but a really nice move. And again, split line D lacking early on as Kendall loads up.
If he gets that three-point shot going, it could be a long second half for Toowoomba. And I do want to give a shout out also, though, to the 2 Special Olympics teams that came out in both the women's and men's halftimes. It was the Logan and the Redlands Special Olympics teams facing off against each other. Guys, that was probably some of the best half-court entertainment I've seen in all of the games that we covered, and it was excellent. They were all having fun. If you would like to support the Special Olympics, guys, visit the website, make a donation. They're here collecting money, but you could always donate online to the Special Olympics programs. As McGrew, we see them Pirates and go right away to McGrew in the half court.
Yeah, it was always a good part of the under-20s, Johnny seeing the Ivor Burge guys, and so that was really good to support the intellectual disabilities.
McGrew goes to the line for a couple of shots.
Johnny and I were reserving a couple of those girls had game. Like,
oh yeah,
they could shoot the rock.
You go to Ivor Burge and you're surprised. Like some of those dudes and can really hoop.
Yeah, we thought. Well, I won't say what we thought, but it was an excellent performance in both of the games. And I wish I would have known it was on in the women's game. I would have streamed the first one, but we made sure to get that second game in there for the Redlands and Logan Special Olympics teams. So if you haven't had a chance, make sure you go back to halftime and have a watch. As McGrew fires a 3, it's off. Bairstow loses it. Weber comes down with it, goes to the rack. Layup is good.
Yeah, good finish from Weber, taking it straight to McGrew.
Really good finish. And the McGrew 3 is kind of what I was mentioning at halftime, or alluding to at least, and another one from Kendall. I think these guys can get those particular shots at any stage of the offense. And Bairstow bows them out, and against Toowoomba, those shots don't really hurt you because you can get boards and it doesn't matter. But against the top teams in the league, I reckon you want to play longer offensive possessions and make the defense work a bit harder. As Abdul-Bassett with a nice finish down the lane. Just want to run structured offense and be a bit more disciplined, I would think.
Good foul there by Malik on Bairstow.
Does that count if he's pulling the net down like that? Should count, shouldn't it?
It's basket interference. Regan, what are your thoughts on that one?
Coach Downer's on it now. Should be, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if he grabs the net, it affects the backboard, it affects the rim and the way the ball actually goes into the hoop. So if it is deemed by the referees that grabbing onto that net has affected the ball's ability to go into the hoop, it would count as goaltending and the point should count.
But are they calling it based on whether they think the ball was going to go in?
That's the interpretation. The referee says, I don't think it had a chance, or it had a chance.
Yeah, it has to have the chance to go in. So if you're shooting an air ball and someone grabs the net, I mean, you're shooting an air ball. It was never going to go in, so the interference didn't have an impact. So obviously in that situation, as we heard Mark say in front of us here, it was never going to go in, so therefore it's not goal interference.
What if you foul a 12% three-point shooter shooting a three? So if I fouled Dave Derwin on Wednesday night shooting a three, they should let it go, right? 'Cause ain't no way that ball's going in.
Hey, it's going in. It's a real good clip. It's just that I have patience, my man.
I'm surprised he's even shooting 12%. That's the biggest surprise.
Damn.
Hey, I'd like you to see the stats, mate.
It's better than my 2%, so.
3-point percentage would be tight. Thunder, you know it too.
You know Dave does his work in the post.
The attempts is low. Someone's got to pass.
That's true.
Keep Vines happy. Guys like Aaron Anderson.
Kendall, spin move, finds a cutting Allen. He can't handle it. Recovers the pass. Teardrop is off. Gets his own rebound and puts it up and in. It's now out to 19, and here's what Southwest was after. And Allen comes up with the steal. Layup is good. Jake Allen increases the lead now to 21. Southwest putting the foot down here to start the third, boys. This is the best third quarter start we've seen from Southwest all season.
Yeah, I think, I think Mick would have been pretty disappointed with the first half, so I'm going to guess he gave him a bit of an uppercut, and they've certainly responded and playing with the sort of intensity. What I like is, in particular, the defensive rebounding's been really good, and in particular, Bear's been amazing. Good solid box out, igniting the fast break.
We got on them a bit about the shot selection there, Dan, to start the third, but it seems like they're trying to play a little more up-tempo to play the third quarter here. Maybe that's part of the strategy coming into the quarter.
Could be, and I guess that's why I tried to begin my comment. Coach Danner knows what he's doing, obviously, so I can sit here and say, let's grind it out and make them play defense for 18 seconds, and there'll be times where teams need to do that, but if they're coming out of the halftime break playing a certain way and it's up-tempo and they're taking quick shots, well, that's by design, I'm sure. And Coach Downer knows how he wants his team to play, and we're sitting back watching them do it. And so far this quarter, they're doing it really well. As
an analyst, Dave, do you see that as playing to the strength of the Southwest Metro Pirates, trying to play up-tempo and trying to play fast-paced?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's always the challenge now in this more modern basketball, let's say, where it's almost a five-out concept where it's all about threes and pace. And so I think absolutely with the squad they have, they can play fast all day. The thing is come finals when the D-Trans gets a bit tighter and you don't have those opportunities, you got to execute offensively and you got to run your stuff tight. So, but I agree. I think they should be playing nice and fast. You know, you got guys like Vel Williams as well, and their starting five. You know, they like pace.
And Coach Downer hasn't been afraid to go to the bench either. You see Gamble's got some pretty solid minutes. Verl Williams Jr. hasn't played as many minutes as we've seen him, but that combination of Vines and Kendall is having a good game so far, so it's going to keep Verl Williams Jr. on the bench. Christian Pang checks in for the first time as well for the Pirates. He's got the ball, he's going to fire the wing three. It's too strong. Good pass to Malik, good catch. Gamble blocks him though. Weber working on Kendall, flips one up and in, plus the foul.
That was a nice move. Like, Kendall's not happy. I reckon they had a few one-on-one games at practice a couple of years ago, those two. But that's a nice move, huh? That's just a great possession. We saw Malik with an awesome catch, Gamble with a really nice block, and then fantastic M1 finish down the lane.
Yeah, Captain Cameron Weber at the line for a three-point play opportunity.
Two sweet moves from Weber in this third period.
Yeah, and guys, Toowoomba's down 19. But again, Southwest just doesn't feel, it doesn't have a feel of game over, you know, in the sense that Southwest came out really strong, up by a big amount, but just doesn't feel like it's that next step of finishing off a team.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. We'll see how this next group goes. He's gone to the bench a little bit.
They're going to call that basket interference by Tanner McGrew. Probably should have let that one go, as Abdul Bassett was a bit too strong on the finish. Back to 16 now.
We didn't like the call, but it's the right call. So
can't slap the backboard while the ball's in motion, can you? Vines' teardrop is off.
It's just a bit of frustration, I think, from McGrew. He has not had the impact, as Abdul Bassett from deep. McGrew hasn't had the impact that he usually has today. He's often a dominant player. We spoke about it earlier in terms of an MVP consideration or not. He hasn't been as involved, hasn't had the shots he's usually accustomed to, so maybe it's just a bit of frustration coming out on the defensive end as well.
Yeah, just trying to check the fouls on Malik. Was that his fourth, maybe?
Malik, that's his fourth personal. Yep.
Yeah, he didn't like it, but it was the right call.
That's a tough pass.
Yeah, it's just, you don't pass. It's not a good angle.
Not when there's 3 defenders around there.
Gehrig's baseline jump shot is too strong. Kendall snatches the rebound and gets off and running. Bit of contact. Kendall can't finish, but he's going to go to line for a couple shots. Verl Williams Jr. getting set to check in for Southwest. He's going to come in for Ryan Vines, the captain.
Well, again, great 4 minutes from the Pirates. Last couple of minutes been a bit sloppy. And the Mountaineers got a sniff still.
Well, I think that's where you have a great run. You play up tempo to start the quarter like we saw, and John, you observed. But you're right, David, slow down a little bit, and it's been a little bit sloppy. So now's the time to say, right, let's get McGrew a shot on the post. Let's run this set to get him this look. I think that's where the balance, as Weber playing a heck of a game.
Hits the 3 plus the foul on Christian Pang.
I think that's where the balance between let's play up tempo and get some volume, and then let's slow it down and grind it out and get a really good look. I think that's where there's a balance that a lot of teams struggle to strike the difference.
Well, it's not too late at the moment to look at the potential matchups for Southwest. And again, we mentioned it in the women's matchup. Southwest has that tough doubleheader next weekend. They do have to travel down to Ipswich on Saturday and then Sunday back up and play against the Spartans. Alley-oop pass, McGrew with the nice catch and finish from Bairstow. And Abdul Bassett fouled. He can fly. But you look at where Southwest is at the moment. Southwest sits on the 6th spot on the ladder at 9-5. A win this afternoon will move them to 10-5 in a tie with Cairns record-wise. But I think Cairns has the point differential on them and also the head-to-head win. So at the moment, Southwest, if the ladder stays the same as of right now, Southwest would have to travel up to Townsville to take on the Heat. Townsville also has an opportunity to even move up to the top spot. They've got a triple header next weekend. So you look at the potential matchup. Southwest could finish anywhere in the top 4, maybe even at the 8th spot. Who knows if things shake out, how they're going to shake out. You got to think, like you said, in finals ball, Dave, they're going to have to play up. They can potentially play up tempo, but they're going to have to be able to succeed in the half court.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think, Johnny, you know, statistically, you'd think maybe Logan and Rocky probably will occupy 7 and 8, I think. And I think 1 through 6, however, may change a little.
Yeah, well,
over the last few games.
Logan's done now. They lost their 2 games this weekend without Mitch Young, so they're off. That's it. Their season's finished.
Yep.
So they can't improve themselves. They currently sit in the 7th spot at 9-8. Spartans, I think, can potentially overtake Rockhampton, and I believe they can overtake. Well, maybe not actually. I have to check the schedule.
Yeah.
Let's see what our draw is for next week. I think Spartans only have the 1 game next weekend,
only
so
one, I think.
they might be done. So you would think Logan and
Where was Mitch Young? Anyone know? Hopefully he's healthy and it was not for injury reasons.
Yeah, so Spartans, looks like Spartans are out. They do only have the 1 game. So in the men's side of things, Brisbane Spartans unfortunately they have been eliminated. So it's going to come down to really positioning as far as the 6, 7, and 8 spots go between Southwest. Good block there by Davis. Bairstow in a bit of trouble. He's got to get the shot off. It's a violation. But if we go back to the ladder, that 5, 6, 7, even 8 spot.
Yeah, I think Bairstow will be frustrated then. He had a really nice cut, got the ball, should have just risen up for the nice little 10-footer. Just a bit frustrated, I think, himself, making it a bit harder than what he needed to, but certainly a good cut.
Good catch there by McGrew and finish, as the captain led him straight to the hoop.
Nice
Good
pass.
Good pass inside. Abdul Bassett to Gehrig.
And that's one of the challenges with the Pirate guys, if they stay up and sort of put a bit of front court pressure on, is when you get a decent guard like Abdul Bassett, it just comes and threads the needle. Because then he makes it a 5-on-4 advantage just by simply beating a little bit of pressure.
And Pirates don't really have that big shot blocking presence back behind them to intimidate a jump shot, as Bairstow hits a three.
Great pass from Williams. Draw the defender, makes the extra pass. Bairstow with a nice hit.
Corner three is off. Davis tips it out to Weber. Good look inside. Reverse layup, though. Way off.
He saw Tanner
Martin
McGrew
Nolan.
and absolutely panicked.
Nolan's not happy with himself, shaking his head. Foul called there on Mitch Davis. Tyrell Harrison going to check back in for Jared Gamble. Gamble's been getting more and more minutes as the season's gone on. He was a really talented junior. He's played really well for the Pirates this season. I saw him wasn't sure how much minutes he was going to get because they had young Harrison, the Bullets development player, but Gamble's been playing really well. You can see Coach Down has a lot of trust in him.
Well, I think come finals, he's going to be the guy they're going to go to versus someone like Harrison. But my only comment on young Gamble is that he needs to be a bit more offensive-minded and a bit more aggressive. So even in just simple rim runs and offensive step-ins and from the block or the short corner, just again, not saying he needs to do anything necessarily except but present himself, and that'll then open up more three balls for the Pirates.
Really nice finish there by Abdul Bassett.
Nice pass again.
McGrew to Bairstow.
Bear does such a good job of moving without the ball.
And great recognition from McGrew to make the bullet pass right on the money.
Bang. Off.
21 points to lead here for Southwest with under 2 to go now in the third quarter.
Well, it did look really good out of the hands. I mean,
Bairstow's three is off. Abdul Bassett with another rebound. He's got to be approaching nearly a triple-double. Jalil Abdul Bassett. He looks exhausted. He needs a breather. He's doing everything. Good foul there. Bairstow blocking Davis. Fourth team foul for Southwest. The first one on Bairstow. He's going to get a breather. Jake Allen going to check in. Cameron Weber going to check back in for Toowoomba. Give Jalil Abdul Bassett a breather. Maybe the assist numbers look a bit more to the eye because Abdul Bassett only has 4. He's got 7 rebounds and 22 points. Not a bad stat line. Jump ball. Good job there by the captain, Cameron Weber, tying up Verl Williams Jr. It's going to stay, though, with Southwest. Minute 31 to go in the third quarter.
Weber's effort level is fantastic. Comes in off the bench and just playing incredibly hard. He's been really good today. And I think he might have missed in fact, the Rockhampton game that we broadcast the hill. That was his first game, I think, for the year, fresh off a honeymoon. He's been really good this afternoon.
Two shots for McGrew. Pretty nice balance on the score sheet here for Southwest. They've got 4 players in double figures. Ryan Vine sniffing around that double figure mark as well.
Yeah, not a great deal of production. Only 5 points off the bench for them tonight, Johnny. So, that's something that obviously is important too. Come finals, when you need a spark from someone, when things aren't going well for the starting group. Good deflection from McGrew.
Good hands there by Harrison. They're going to say he kicked the ball, though. Went off his leg. He's going to stay with Toowoomba. Terrell Harrison didn't like the call. Dan, talk to us a little bit about a development spot in an NBL program, what it does for a young guy, young development player like a Terrell Harrison.
Good question. I'm not sure. I think it depends which NBL team you're in development for. And if you look at the Bullets, I would imagine he'll be doing a lot with Mick Downer, a lot with CJ, and those are two pretty good heads to have on you in terms of guidance. And then if you went down to Illawarra, you got Bevo and these guys. So there are some clubs which I think would be better equipped to develop younger players. Like I know, like an Alan Black in Cairns, for example, back in the day would be awesome coaching the veterans, but Aaron Fern did all the junior stuff.
Great look by Vines to McGrew with a two-handed slam.
Put it down hard too, didn't he?
Sure did.
So I think purely for Harrison at the Bullets, when he's going to be able to learn off guys like Daniel Kickett and these fellas who have done a lot in basketball and are really good people, and you would hope take him under their wing. And if you couple that with the coaching staff, he has all the resources available to him to develop really well. Hopefully the off-court weight room coaches at the same level and can help his body develop, but it's going to come down to him and how much he wants it. If he really wants to get to the best level that he possibly can, he has the resources available to him to do it. So as you get the role, as in 5 years' time, if he's not where he wants to be, it's not through lack of resources anyway.
Don't know what happened there. The shot clock expired. It went off, but there was still time on the game clock. So we're going to see what happens here. Referees are going to have a discussion. Yeah, I think it was the shot clock that did. I heard the buzzer going off too. Referees blew the whistle because the buzzer went. There was about 2 seconds to go, so there's going to be, I think they're going to bat 2 and a bit. I think I heard the referees say they're going to put back on the shot clock. So enough time for Toowoomba to get a shot off here. You got to think it's Abdul Bassett time. Or Weber, but Weber's going to inbound.
Do you think Abdul Bassett might be the focus here?
Could be. You got to just double team Abdul Bassett here, don't you?
Yeah. Well, he had a catch. He was open.
Gonna have to put the clock back.
Little trigger happy. 2.5 on the Pirates.
So can they get a shot off here? It's going to be interesting to see.
Special teams practices with both teams.
Allen deep pass to McGrew on the seal. Got the mismatch. Layup is good. Don't know what Coach Corcoran is looking for there. Referees put the time back on, but good break there and good recognition by McGrew. Great pass by Allen.
Absolutely.
The mismatch was on in the post. You couldn't have Gallagher guarding McGrew on the block there. Nonetheless, McGrew makes him pay, and we're going to head into the fourth quarter with the Pirates up by 25, 87-62 on your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. Back with you here at Hibiscus Sports Complex at the quarter time break. It's a 25-point lead, 87-62. Southwest had that successful third quarter there. They won that one by 15 to really pull away, Dave.
Yeah, and again, I think they just they lifted the intensity, which was what they needed to, and I think they'd like to continue it while Coach Downer can still inject a little bit of bench action and sub guys in and get a bit of confidence playing.
Getting Dan pumped up here. We put the request in to the referee to play the Hornets theme music. I can see Dan, just the energy level picks up as soon as he hears that first drum beat.
Is it the horn or is it the Heatles? I mean, did the Heatles rock this for a few years?
Mate, you were there on July 2nd,
No,
Horn at Pacquiao. This is his ring walk song, baby. Jeff Horn, what a story.
Abdul Bassett with the tough finger roll gets the scoring underway in the fourth quarter.
Well, he's got 24 points.
Southwest are doing just enough to win, aren't they? But it's not a convincing display like we expected.
And Max Curl throws one away.
And I think the key for that third quarter, Johnny, that they'd be happy with the Pirate guys would be only 2 turnovers, which is much more like it. I think Curl's going to have his handful here trying to stay in front of Abdul Bassett.
Yeah, a lot of contact there. No call. I like it. Southwest now off and running with Allen. He does that so well. He dribbles with the right hand to set up that spin to his left, doesn't he? And
yeah.
I think it works almost every single time for him because he always winds up getting to the bucket. Just couldn't finish on that one there. Inbounds to McGrew. He misses the little gimme. Tries to save it and does. Curl recovers. Kendall leaves his feet over to Curl. Three-pointer is too strong. Terrell Harrison with the offensive rebound. Goes back up. Gets it to Allen and finishes.
Don't bring the ball down, big dog. That's why he got stripped. Keep it high and go straight up.
Somehow Allen wound up with it and finished as Weber hits a three in the face of Jake Allen.
He likes Sunday afternoons at the Pirate Ship.
Sure does. Having himself a great game. It's Cameron Weber. Kendall pump fake into a step back three is nothing but net. And Kendall
never looked like missing.
I feel like we haven't talked a lot about Jeremy Kendall. He's got 31 points this afternoon, guys.
Yeah, pretty efficient too. He has been sharing the ball and he feels it a little bit now.
Can't get the roll, winds up with Allen. There's that hook shot and the finish. Terrell Harrison looks like he's hurt with an ankle. He's back behind in play, dumps off from Malik. Malik has it stripped by Kendall. Terrell Harrison is down. He's clutching that right ankle. Let's hope he's okay. He was trying to walk it off and just couldn't walk it off. Teammates are going to help him up. Let's see if he can get up off of it. He's going to be helped off the court there by McGrew and Allen.
Do you remember which foot he broke, Johnny? Did he break? Was it a broken foot he did come back off?
I don't recall which one it was.
I just remember a big moon boot and crutches for a while.
Oh, it looked like either the foot or the right ankle. He's putting a little bit of pressure on it, which I guess is a decent sign, but it's an injury there, so Harrison going to have to get some treatment from the physio. Southwest has possession. Bairstow's back out on the court. So the Pirates are going to come back out with Kendall, Curl, Bairstow, McGrew, and Allen. There's McGrew at the elbow, finishing through the contact with the right hand. Good fake there by Weber. Has to kick it all the way out.
Well, you know Weber's having fun when he's throwing out dream shakes.
That's right.
Man, can we talk about Hakeem the Dream for a second, by the way? I think people
It's
sleep
our show.
on him.
It's our show. We can do what you want, Johnny.
I think people sleep on him as an all-time great in the NBA. The nice bullet pass there from Kendall to Bairstow.
Well, considering he was probably 6'8" at best, too.
No.
You don't
Hakeem
reckon?
Olajuwon?
Yeah.
No,
You
definitely 7 foot.
You reckon?
Definitely.
I've heard a lot of guys say he was a lot shorter than that.
Yeah, well, he played the 5 spot his entire career.
I mean, you put him up against Diesel. Like, do you really think they're same size?
Well,
As in
Diesel had his hands full. Got taken to school a few times early in his career by Hakeem. Weber, corner 3 is short. McGrew with the Falcon.
No, I love Hakeem. Probably my favorite center, really. Nice
Good
pass.
dish by Bairstow to Allen.
Just with the versatility, the footwork.
But I'm talking not just as a center. I mean, he's got to be
player,
a
yeah,
top 10, 15 guy of all time in the NBA.
Sure.
I mean, I personally don't like him because if it wasn't for him, the Knicks would have probably won a title.
You probably would have still found a way to lose.
Somehow, some way.
But again, defensively amazing with the steals, block shots.
There's a block there from McGrew. I got to give a shout out to James Legan, too, who's from Houston. Huge fan of the Houston Rockets. And he and I did an interview with James a couple years ago, and he didn't realize I was a Knicks fan. I had to give him a bit of stick. But I didn't really have much of a leg to stand on that argument because Houston wiped the floor with us, that's for sure.
Well, didn't wipe the floor, but got it done.
Yeah, about as close as I think I might ever get with the way things are looking in New York City at the moment.
You might get Kyrie and things might turn positive, mate.
We'll see. Max Curl with the finger roll. Southwest at 102. They're up 32 now.
It was. I think I read an article saying, you know, there's 29 executives that are doing everything they can to try and get Kyrie.
Hey, who wouldn't want it? And Dan, we had our little messenger chat going on with that Kyrie trade. There's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that people don't necessarily know about, but I'm gonna put it this way in defense of Kyrie Irving. He's signed for 2 more years. LeBron could leave after this year. If you're Kyrie Irving, do you want to be in Cleveland if LeBron isn't going to re-up? No chance. That's where I see him putting the request in.
Well, the people who would defend LeBron in that case would say, well, if LeBron leaves, you're the man again. So why are you leaving if you want to be the man? You'll be the man in 12 months' time.
That'll be an absolutely horrible situation.
If you found out that LeBron in the front office was shopping you for an attempt to get Paul George, and then you found out that it fell through, would you want to leave too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of the time it's we can keep it here, Johnny, for a minute, hey?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't think the money's the money. They're going to get their money regardless, right? It's, again, being valued as a member of the organisation, and if what Dan's saying sounds true, which sounds like a lot of truth to it, some of the non-LeBron lover version of the story.
Well, there's 5 or 6 degrees of separation in the world, right,
Yeah.
usually? So if we work on like 2 degrees of separation, in this case, for an NBN bombshell, headline breaking news. So my 2 degrees of separation says Kyrie's going to Phoenix. Cavs get number 4 pick and Bledsoe. The number 4 pick goes to Indy for Paul George. So basically they give up Kyrie for Bledsoe and Paul George. That was the deal. Gilbert goes and says to LeBron, we'll do that, no problem, that's what you want. Are you re-upping next year? He goes, I can't promise that. So Gilbert says, well, I can't trade for Paul George and you if you're both going to leave, and I've given up Kyrie, so I can't do it. It falls through. A week later, Kyrie finds out. He says, screw you guys, I'm out of here. I think that's what's gone down. And if that is what's happened, it makes sense why Kyrie's so pissed off.
Yeah.
Well, but also put that on top of it in the sense that they've built the entire team around LeBron James. You remove LeBron, that team isn't that great. There's talent there for sure, but it's aging talent. If you're Kyrie Irving, you're only there for 1 more year. It's not really a great situation if minus LeBron anyway, even though you are the man. I don't necessarily think that it's Kyrie wanting to be the man. I think he just wants to be in a winning situation.
If he wanted to be the man, he wouldn't have said send me to the Spurs.
Right.
Because he's not the man on the Spurs.
Or, right. or Minnesota. I mean, again.
The T-Wolves.
Yeah, I said it.
He's not the man on the T-Wolves, you don't think?
Well, I got Cat. I got Jimmy Butler now.
Who's taking the last shot?
He's one of many men on that squad if he goes to Minnesota.
Down 1 with 5 seconds left on Mini. I'm giving it to Cat.
I'm giving it to Jimmy at the moment.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
giving it
but
to Kyrie if he's there.
If you're Minnesota, what are you giving? You'd have to think you're giving up one of Wiggins
How
or
funny would that
Cat
be?
to get Kyrie Irving.
How hilarious if Wiggins goes back to Cleveland for Kyrie. Wouldn't that be completely ironic?
It's on the card. So
But think about it. If you're Minnesota, why is it on the cards?
I'm not giving it up.
Tibbs doesn't want Kyrie Irving, who can't defend
I wouldn't give up Wiggins.
a strong wind, really. I mean, let's be honest. And Tibbs is a defensive guy.
But now I've got Gibson and Butler
And you got Jeff
Cat.
Teague on a big deal.
Well, they can't trade Teague until December.
1st, I think,
So
yeah.
it's really interesting. I mean, it's been the busiest off-season, I think, ever. And another interesting comment is that there's no way that the deals are going to be the same the following season.
Kendall's jumper is good. He's had the Jimmy working all afternoon.
His Jimmy has been on fire lately. That would be 33, 34 maybe at least.
Yeah.
He's looked good too.
Yeah, 11 of 18 as well, so pretty efficient clip for Kendall. Doing a good job on the glass as well. He's a difference maker comes finals time, guys. He's the kind of guy that could will you to a win.
I get the feeling that he could have had 50 today if he really wanted to.
Great move and finish there by McGrew, but definitely Kendall looking, he's taking smart shots. He's
got another level he could go to.
I think so.
That's the danger for.
And like I said, I think he's been really unselfish too. I think he's really tried to run the team today, Thunder. That's been evident.
Yeah.
He's given up stuff he didn't need to. He tried to involve Curl and Williams in some 3-ball opportunities. So I agree. He's had a pretty quiet, a pretty efficient 33 already.
Yeah.
Abdul Bassett's dropped in 30 as well. He's had a few in the last couple minutes.
Where do you see the Pirates, though, guys, heading into finals? Do you see them as a threat? Do you think they can knock off a top team in that first round and make a push to the grand finals?
Yes.
They can. I think, for me, defensively, is just their defensive identity is still where they got a bit of work to do. I mean, I think Brisbane and Mackay, pretty seasoned, been there, done that groups. You've got the Pirate group that's, and again, be fair, they're relatively new. A lot of new pieces. And then you got a Townsville and a Cairns, who I think equally. I mean, that for me, that's your top 5, and they're all 5 legitimate contenders.
And what about Logan? You didn't mention Logan there. I'm going to ask you the question, can Logan contend? They definitely need a Mitch Young, as they've seen dropping the 2 games up north this weekend without Young.
Yeah.
But with Mitch Young in the lineup, I thought they were starting to play some great ball with the 2 big guys up front. Mick Cedar was coming around. Sam Johns is coming around. Those guys on any day, I think, could beat any of the top teams in the QBL.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think just from a consistency point of view, I think those 5 teams I mentioned are probably the 5 better teams. Equally, I think, USC and Logan, they both can ball come finals, and like the other spot, probably Rockhampton, they got history as well.
Hey, it's going to be a great top 8. It's going to be a great final series, really, isn't it, guys? Because even those top teams, I think, could be under threat because some of the teams on that bottom ladder are really starting to play some of their best basketball, like Logan and Southwest and Rockhampton. We talked about predictions before this season, guys. You want to stick with your predictions where we're at? I mean, I think unanimously the 3 of us picked Mackay to win it heading into the final round of the QBL season. Do you still see it as Mackay's title to lose, Dan?
That's such a tough question to answer. I think yes, it has to go through Mackay, just given what they've done so far this season, where they're at on the ladder as of today. But in saying that, I think Townsville are really good. I think the Brisbane Capitals are really good. And our concerns for the Capitals were you lose Jeff Rees and Drew Phillips and these guys. That's tough to recover from. But Preston Onwes, I mean, he is as good an import as there is in this league, in my opinion. I think he's fantastic offensively, but more importantly, defensively.
Huge block there by Callum Benny. Gets the bench up.
Well, Weber's had a game, but he didn't see that one coming.
Oh, what do we do here?
Let's see if they get it again.
Nice.
Good job there.
It's 1-1.
Yeah, you got me, but I learned.
It's even.
Great sportsmanship too from Cameron Weber there, giving the Pirates guys a few high fives around there. The boys were giving him stick behind the bench. He's doing it with a smile on his face.
Love it.
Well done there from Cameron Weber.
Good to see all the Pirate juniors here as well. Again, always in good force here, supporting the men's program and women's program.
But let's get back to finals, guys. I know we still have the 1 round to go, and it's a great matchup we have next weekend on Nothing But Net Media for our QBL Game of the Week. We have this Brisbane Capitals hosting the University of Sunshine Coast RIP. RIP on the women's side have been much improved this year. They were just sniffing finals. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to make it now. And then the men are still in a top 4 spot. So 2 great matchups we'll have next weekend. But Capitals, again, especially on the men's side of things, guys, people kind of slept on them. I think a lot of people thought they would struggle, like you were saying, Dan. But Princeton Onwis is a difference maker, and he's been great for them. We saw Onwis take over last weekend when Aaron Anderson was out with an injury, carry them to a huge win over Mackay.
No doubt, and I think that's the reason that the Caps are also right there. So, in short, to answer your question, I give the longest answers ever. It's bad broadcasting.
No, we love it.
But I think Mackay, Townsville, Capitals, they're all right there. Then there's the next level with USC and a couple of others as well. So it's going to be an awesome final series. But I think given the experience on the Mackay roster, you have to say it goes through them at the moment. But in a week and a half's time, that could be different.
Yeah, and sorry, Johnny, you made a good point too. I think young Mick Cedars picked the right time of the season to hit a bit of form as well. So he's been really good the last couple months, or the last month in particular.
I'm just not sure that Logan can guard the point guard spot well enough. The young point guard who's came in for them mid-season, what's his name?
Deshaun Johnson.
Yeah, I saw him play Wednesday night and looked like an M1 mixtape out there. That might be partly why we saw him and the coach butt heads a little bit.
With a quick hook.
Thought he was on the streets of Harlem playing pickup. But unfortunately, the QBL doesn't necessarily suit those styles of game. So anyway, my concern for Logan is they're great, and I think Coach Rucker's really, really good and does a great job and runs the great structures that he wants. But I'm just not sure they can guard the point guard spot. Izzy Tuetas, the Sean Bruces, the Josh Wilchers, these guys, I think they're just slightly undermanned in that position.
And guys, one team that none of us have really talked about and has really been slept on is the defending champion, the Cairns Marlins. I mean, they've had a huge win this weekend, and they're finding form too heading into the finals, very much like last year. No one really mentioned Cairns as the title contender. They left with the championship. They could potentially finish top 4. At the moment, they're sitting in that 5th slot,
yeah.
but they're a dangerous team at that midpoint.
Steve Way on the box score. Does that mean Alex Loughton's not playing, or how does that work?
I'm pretty sure that's the go, yeah.
That's the concern to me. Alex Loughton in the finals last year was unbelievably good. But Stephen Way, fantastic player, but without Alex Loughton, that might be why we're sleeping a little bit, maybe. But I agree, Johnny. They're fantastic and well coached, and
especially they got 3 great guards.
Sure do.
And so I think, and offensively and defensively, and I think that's why they're in any conversation as well. And losing Trigger hurts as well. Let's give credit where credit's due.
He was great in the grand final series. He was very, very good. So I agree with you. Hey, just quickly too. There are a lot of good bigs in this league, but like it's largely a credit to this name I'm about to drop. But how does Dusty Reichart at 29 years of age do what he does? I mean, there would be 10 years ago there would be no 39-year-old going putting up 25 and 10 against anyone. Like I think even against the Spartans he dominated. Dusty Reichart just ageless. Well, just keeps getting it done.
He was great on the podcast this week with the guys, the Long and Short podcast. Just answers honestly, and he still loves it. That's what it is, and he keeps himself in good shape. He loves the system, knows the system, and he plays. He's a leader on that team and produces. He still has the jump shot, Dan. I don't know if it's as smooth as it was 10, 15 years ago because I didn't get to see him play back then, but he can still ball. He did say this is probably going to be his last season, but to me it looks like he could probably play another 4 or 5 years.
He said that a few years ago, I remember. Hey, keep getting them checks, big fella. As long as they keep coming, I'm keep playing.
Well, I think with Dusty too, and no offense to the big guy, but because he wasn't a super athletic guy, he played generally on the ground. He doesn't need to go up and block shots and so forth, and so he just plays so smart. So he doesn't need to get up and chase rebounds because fundamentally he's excellent, and so therefore he can just keep on playing. And guys, similarly, you saw Ray Allen in the NBA keep going because, again, fundamentally he converted from being athletic to a really smart three-point shooter.
Yeah, well, Reichardt's certainly going to be a weapon for the Caps heading into the finals, and Southwest is going to head into round 15 off the back of a very, very solid 34-point win, 116-82 good performance there from Southwest. They came out in the second half, made the adjustments, and were able to pull away for the big win, Dan. Pretty impressive second half for Southwest after kind of struggling a bit at times in that first half.
Well, that's the second half that we expected of a team that is going to the playoffs versus a team that's not. So Southwest, like we said, there's always room to get better. But other they showed all the signs today that personnel-wise, but also system-wise, as to why they can compete come playoff time. So they should be excited, but they also know they've got a lot of work still to do.
And they have that big match doubleheader next weekend versus Ipswich and versus Spartans. 2 winnable games for Southwest. They will want to take care of those games as well and head into the finals on that positive momentum. Dan, Dave, what were your thoughts on Southwest this afternoon?
Yeah, I think, in line with what we've been saying, first half was so-so, second half was much better. I think they won the second half by about plus 25 ballpark, which was a much better effort. And that was with giving the young Thundercats a fair bit of burn in the last 5 minutes. So I think they'll be pretty happy with that second half. And again, I think it's just because they've been hit with injuries, you've got to get that bit of continuity. And so that every bit of time together on the floor is going to help them. And, Kendall was great, I thought, today, and McGrew as well. Just the standard quiet performances, yet statistically they get it done.
And I think I hark back to that Toowoomba team with Jeremy Kendall and Aaron Maxey making it to the semifinals. You kind of have a similar situation here with Southwest, where you have Kendall and another talented big in Tanner McGrew. Very similar games to Aaron Maxey. This Pirates team, though, is much deeper and much stronger. You have Vines who could score. You have Bairstow who can play. Allen. Southwest is in a really good position to make some noise in the finals if they can get it all together. They still have those 2 games before the finals come around. I think Southwest, guys, could make some noise.
And that shows why 2 imports is enough.
Boom, drops the mic and walks out the building. Let's take a look at the stats, though, guys. Jeremy Kendall was the top scorer in the game. 33 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. Also had 6 turnovers, so I want to look at tidying that up. Tanner McGrew finished with 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists. Jake Allen had 25 points and 9 rebounds. Jared Bairstow, a couple assists off a triple-double, 13 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists. Southwest shot 48% from the field, 35% from 3, and were 18 of 23 from the free throw line at 78% clip. You look at for Toowoomba, Jalil Abdul-Bassett was really impressive, guys. 38 points on 12 of 26 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3. Also had 8 rebounds and 5 assists. Cameron Weber finished with 17 points. Manilok Malik had 11 points and 12 rebounds. Toowoomba, though, struggled a bit. 42% from the field, only 31% from 3. They turned the ball over 27 times, guys. So that's going to wrap it up from here for us here at Hibiscus Sports Complex. I want to thank Jacob Beals on the camera. I want to thank Regan Baker on the production panel and also for his commentary. I also want to thank Dan George and Dave Derwin on the commentary for myself. John Guarna, guys, don't forget to tune in next Saturday, August 5th. It's the Brisbane Capitals versus the USC Rip in the final round of QBL action, live from Auckland Flower. Women tip at 6, men tip at 8. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to another presentation of your QBL Game of the Week by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. We'll see you next Saturday for Cavs versus Rip.